Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot make it up. You cannot make it up. Georgetown University quarterbacks the actual control of the National Security Act and the globalist takeover of America. Carol Quigley, the head of their political science department, wrote an 1,100-page book in the mid-1960s for the CIA and State Department to even understand the algorithm and philosophy they were using of authoritarianism and false left-right paradigm control. They have now had a former State Department individual assigned to the Foreign Service and working under Hillary sue myself, Alan West, and many others. And we've had Georgetown University law file the suit. So this is using taxpayer-funded money to engage in a anti-free speech crusade to set a precedent, as I've been warning you, to ban Infowars and then everybody else so that they can preemptively have government say what's real news and what is fake news.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center and the heart of the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
And it's time for humanity to stand up in the info war and say, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this, but you want to fight, you better believe you got one!
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I told you it was coming, and now the beast has reared its head directly. Georgetown University, headquarters of the globalist takeover of the State Department and the CIA, the deepest of the deep state. Even worse than Harvard or Yale. That's where Carol Quigley trained William Jefferson Clinton for the Central Intelligence Agency role of president. That's all declassified. Georgetown University has sued Infowars and has sued former Congressman Alan West and many others, our own Leanne McAdoo, for pointing out that just like what happened in Florida with the Parkland tragedy, out of 3,000 students, they chose 4 who were anti-gun, whose parents were connected to the Democratic Party to be the spokespersons. They then spun that we said nobody died or they were crisis actors. It's the same thing here. We pointed out that people that had worked at the State Department and CIA-connected offices and then had worked for congressmen funded openly, massively by George Soros and who had worked for Hillary Clinton directly were the spokespersons out there putting out a narrative. In the suit, it says, and in the Georgetown editorial put out by the university law school, it says all the same lies that I said. It's crisis actors, it's all fake. This is the defamation. I am being defamed by a deep state institution, and one of its alumni who worked for the State Department, Hillary Clinton, is the individual claiming that us questioning all this and pointing out they put this narrative out of a martyr when the poor woman got killed to create this clash in the media trying to mainline Antifa as a good organization. And that narrative blew up in their face. And so they don't want us here. They don't want us on air. They don't want us to question. They even put in the lawsuit that we exposed the Comey 2012 hoax and said that that was a CIA run. That came out in the news later. I have friends who were CIA contractors on the ground. You guys opened up a big, fat can of worms on this. They're saying I need to be taken off the air. along with scores of other websites and news organizations, preemptively. This is to set the precedent that they define at Georgetown what's real news and what isn't. This isn't a defamation suit. It is sold in a giant PR operation, put out in press releases by Georgetown and the dean of the law school, calling for us to be shut down. And then Sadiq Khan, the Islamicist mayor of London, who has police stand down when Antifa beat up men, women, and children, he was in Austin yesterday and called for web censorship of conservatives to be taken off the web, just like they've done in Europe by claiming it's white supremacist. It's on, folks. There's the headline. London Mayor Sadiq Khan tells Silicon Valley to censor hate speech. They're mainlining their takeover. So this is the fight. It's targeting your speech. I am, quite frankly, super honored, because when I read the suit and saw that, by the way, the suit's saying I'm saying the CIA was connected to PR, which they are on record. And then now, basically, this is the deep state heart of the CIA leftist arm suing me. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot make it up. You cannot make it up. Georgetown University quarterbacks the actual control of the National Security Act and the globalist takeover of America. Carol Quigley, the head of their political science department, wrote an 1,100-page book in the mid-1960s for the CIA and State Department to even understand the algorithm and philosophy they were using of authoritarianism and false left-right paradigm control. They have now had a former State Department individual assigned to the Foreign Service and working under Hillary sue myself, Alan West, and many others. And we've had Georgetown University law file the suit. So this is using taxpayer-funded money to engage in an anti-free speech crusade to set a precedent, as I've been warning you, to ban Infowars and then everybody else, so that they can preemptively have government say what's real news and what is fake news. And that's what the suit calls for. It is incredible. So this is the Democrat arm of the deep state, Georgetown, suing me. And what's incredible here is that they're saying that we say this guy's Hillary and Soros connected, and that it looks like a classic CIA cutout where he worked in these combat zones in Africa for the State Department, because the State Department runs the CIA, not the other way around. And we had guests on that pointed that out. We're being sued for questioning. And then there is CIA connections to some of the other people. And so they conflate it, us covering Ukraine and stuff in the videos and the lawsuit, and mix Ukraine in with Charlottesville. We're talking about Soros funding that, which he's on record on Fareed Zakaria saying it on CNN. And they do stuff like, in the lawsuit, cut words off, where I say Soros needs to go to jail for staging Charlottesville. They cut the word chaos off. And they see, so they go, oh, look, he says Soros staged it all. You know, nobody was killed, crisis actors. When I said the Democrats do hire actors to be the core of some of these AstroTurf events, like Michael Moore showing up to the event right after Trump got elected, that was funded by Russian bots. Turns out Moore didn't even know he was going to something funded by Russian bots that was anti-Trump. So you got governments, you got corporations. This goes on. Hillary staged fake town halls. That's on record. CNN's been caught. CNN's been caught with the babies in the incubators and, you know, Congress and all those fake reports to get us in the Iraq war. So, the first Iraq war. So we have a right to question. And they don't like us questioning their narratives. This is incredible. And we're going to go over some of the lawsuit today. Our lawyers have looked at the Pepe the Frog lawsuit. They said, yeah, the guy told everybody in public interviews to use the image. Plus, it's not even your art you're selling. It was a third-party posters you sold. This is, we have absolute slapback, total victory. It's just open and shut. And we got 2 other lawsuits dismissed this week. And I'm talking to lawyers about whether I'm going to show that. 2 of them dismissed with prejudice by the judge. These are suits the lawyers didn't even want me to get into. Now, this was agreement, so I didn't sue them once their lawyers, once they got competent counsel, and they went, who got you to do this? And they went, well, you know, the Democrats. And some of these Democrats are so crazy, they tell me, you better watch it and shut up. More suits are coming. And they're dumb enough to do it in emails. I mean, folks, the Democrats are crazy. They're nuts. They want Trump out. They want the power. They want to put their boot back on America's neck, and they are pissed. And that's why they're freaking out, because we're getting all these lawsuits. I mean, it was up to actually, it's 11 now, but we've gotten 6 dismissed. 2 just this week. I mean, we're like grand slamming them out of the park every time because they're crazy. And just because the Washington Post, the New York Times, and everybody misquotes what we said about this guy who did videotape the stuff and who I don't think was part of staging anything. He's a spokesperson of the Democrats. He loves Hillary. He's a leftist. He went all over TV. He was a public figure before. He's a public figure after. He's going to be all over the news channels as a cause celeb. Democratic fundraising. He writes articles for Politico. How I Became Fake News. Brennan Gilmore. And Alexander Jones. Infowars is the top of the bill. I like that. It's like John Hancock. I got my name right there, big and bold, baby. That's the new Declaration of Independence right there. You got Lee Stranahan. We need to get him on today. Let's go back. I'll read it. Leanne McAdoo, and then they've got some other news organizations they're suing. So this guy goes out and writes his articles, misrepresents what I said about Charlottesville, defames me. Then Georgetown law, as deep state as it gets, comes out, and then they have the nerve to say, we're suing you because you say I might be connected to the CIA. Are you joking? I mean, you don't think the public doesn't know, or Colonel Allen West of the Army doesn't know what the State Department is? The State Department is the CIA. It runs it. It is the deepest state. Ridiculous. Asinine. That's why Pompeo just got promoted to the #2 spot in the government. More important than the vice president when it comes to what he's doing. And then they brought in another lady who's been very loyal to the country. Under that, they talk about, oh, the left says she ran black sites and torture. And I'm not for torture. Trump was kind of honest about it because it does go on. Everybody does it. And the point is that folks have asked me what I think about it. And you never know what really went on because it's the globalists that are here pointing their finger at her and saying, you know, in Thailand there was some black site with al-Qaeda terrorists in it. And, you know, did she destroy evidence? I mean, that's the New York Times saying she did that. And, you know, I tend to know that stuff goes on, so I tend to believe it, but not because the New York Times wrote it. The point is, it's the first female director of the Central Intelligence Agency and the first female director, it's so crazy, of any of these big agencies. Ooh, but you can hardly even find that in the news. Instead, it's new CIA director Gina Haspel had leading role in torture. Well, Obama said he's really good at killing people. Oh, and Obama said he stopped the torture. Let me give you a little news flash. Under Obama, the torture exploded. And they put ISIS and al-Qaeda in charge to gang rape and murder all over the world. So that's coming up. But the big news, Tillerson out. Why is he out? Let's get Roger Stone on. I forgot to tell you that. He's been saying Tillerson's out since last December. He said it's imminent, imminent, imminent. And Tillerson is out. We're going to look at Pompeo. Let's get Steve Pachenik on as well. Former head of psychological operations of the State Department. That means former head of CIA psychological operations. It's like a joke. How dare you say I'm connected to the CIA? I just worked in clandestine offices of the State Department in Africa. Oh, of course. Oh, my goodness, excuse me. Wait till we explain that to a jury if it ever gets to them. And then there is the rules of evidence, the optional completeness. A jury's going to have to watch whole 4-hour shows for every clip you want to show them. And guess who, after they watch the broadcast, will be awake?
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
You're a white man! You're a white man!
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
We're taking
air conditioning.
Infowars comes to mind.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
There's a lot of controversy around this network about Alex Jones.
Google is being accused of hiding negative stories about Hillary and her campaign by changing its algorithm to bury stories like the Clinton body count story. That's according to website Infowars.
It sounds like it's confirmed there are at least 2 shooters with fully automatic weapons.
Senator County is shot.
Dr. Martin Luther King has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
JFK was shot from the back and the front.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
They took the babies out of incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
I think this is a national security imperative. We have clear things that we do not understand how they work, operating in areas that we can't control.
UFOs.
Is this global governance at last? Is it one world, the central bankers in charge?
Israel claims the attack was accidental, but some former U.S. naval officers say it was on purpose. They describe the day's action as part of a continuing cover-up.
Russian intelligence compiled a dossier on Mr. Trump during visits to Moscow.
Russian scum!
Denied everything. He called it all fake news.
And he accused CNN of being fake news.
This is a national emergency.
If they kill Trump or remove Trump, it will cause a massive civil war in this country.
This is a FEMA high-level alert.
We are at war with Russia.
Are you aware that Mr. Stone also stated publicly that he was in direct communication with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks?
The White House and the President are citing Infowars.
They could shut us down. You're next.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
Over a year in the making, produced by one of the top organic firms in the country, that if you want proven studies and documentation, I can speak for hours just on the files I have here, of what this is proven to do, the ingredients in this. This is the ultimate immune system boost for this time of year, any time of the year. But Immune Wall is incredible. And folks, other formulas that aren't even as good are $70, $80. It's a great deal at $39. Immune Wall, beta-glucans, olive leaf, and so much more. It is concentrated. You need to go read what is in here. The mushroom blend of the most expensive, highest quality mushrooms that just incredibly accelerate. A citrus peel blend. I mean, this is the next level. It's now available, ladies and gentlemen, Immune Wall. I think it's beyond seasonal. Beta, glucan, olive leaf, and more. Immune Wall, InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139.